Okay, so we are broadcasting and we are live according to the tiny red dot on my screen. Good evening, everyone, and kasamas who are watching and not participating because you're watching later, which is cool, no shame. It's revolutionary to have work-life balance. Hi, let's go around and introduce ourselves, even though there's three of us. I'll start. Hi, I'm Lori. I prefer she and her pronouns, and I'm from Gabriella, Seattle, and I've been with Gab for about a year and 2 months.
Cool. Wonderful. Yeah, Teresa?
I'm Teresa. GAB-LA. It hasn't even been a year since I've been in GAB-LA.
Hey, that's cool. We got tons of new members in GAB-Sea as well.
Yeah, so my name is Nicole, and with Gabriella LA as well. So I work more so on the organizational development committee. Yeah, and same as Teresa, we both kind of recently joined around the same time.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's cool. Well, Gab Seattle's chair, Precious Bushu, is going to join in about 45 minutes. And I think a new member as well. I think she's like brand new, like a month old, maybe 3 weeks. Her name's Karen. I actually don't know anything about her, so that'll be interesting. We're going to bond over that. I'm pulling up the agenda right now. Okay.
I also have to, when people hop on, actually, I have to leave at 7.
Oh,
So I'll be on for like 45 minutes. Sorry.
It's okay.
no, that's fine. If nothing else, I will report back that this was a tech testing session.
Okay.
And it will be beautiful and smoother and way more professional next time.
Okay.
So according to the ever so detailed agenda that I sent out to people who were not you, I think, we have done introductions and how long we've been in Gabriella / Peacher, because Angelica is technically still Peacher. They're going to try to form Gabriella Portland sometime soon, and it's going to be awesome. Okay, so the way I've structured the agenda is to kind of freestyle it, like kind of say what skills you're bringing to the table, what stories, and what things you hope to get out of our session. This is kind of like an inventory diagnostic thing as opposed to like a huge workshop, just because I didn't know what people wanted out of this session. Again, we're guinea pigs. So yeah, I have some notes from Lori Penor, who is on our finance and resource part committee. She kind of like gave highlights of our org since I am only a year old. So I can speak to that later if you guys would like, but I'm really curious what you guys were hoping to get out of this session.
So most recently, we had a Gabriella meeting to talk about fundraising, and I think like one of the biggest things, it's our 10-year anniversary for Buy-in Congress. There's also the International People's Tribunal, the IPT, coming up, and then on top of that are also other like Gabriella fundraising ideas. So we recognize even just not just Gabriella, but even as a region, we haven't given enough love and attention and creative brainstorming around how can we really maximize our fundraising efforts here. And I think we've taken notice about what you all have been doing in the Seattle area, and I think you all have shared that with us before, and I think you all have thought of really innovative, creative ideas, and even have raised the bar in terms of what grassroots fundraising could look like for our movement and for our alliance work with Buy-in. So yeah, I think we just wanted to learn. I think that was the one thing, was that we wanted to learn in terms of what were the best tools, best practices, ideas that you guys have really utilized in your areas, and if applicable, if it relates to what we can actually apply here, then let's do that. Like the only idea that we've tangibly come up with is doing a walkathon as a way to do some fundraising, which Gabriella has done in the past, and so we're considering doing that again, and yeah, just other fundraising techniques and methods. So that was one of the ideas that really sparked this conversation, and I think Kayla, of course, Kayla from GAB-LA was like, we need to hit up GAB Seattle folks. We need to hit up those Gabbies, and and see if we can have like a Skillshare kind of webinar or something like that. And I think that's really where the idea was born. And so I think in a nutshell, we just appreciate you all taking some precious time to share a lot of that knowledge and experience too.
Cool. Well, here's an idea. Why don't you capitalize off of Kayla's budding musical career? And anyway, I don't know. You have like all the well, not all, but you have musical talent there. Utilize it. Use it to power the movement. For audience members who are watching this at a later date, Kayla de los Reyes is a kasama who's also, as I understand it, new to GAB-LA, and is like bomb ass like cultural. Like they did a cultural at DC. And it's a play off of the All About That Bass song. You guys should check it out. I don't know if it's on YouTube. Is it on YouTube?
I think it's on
like on SoundCloud, right?
SoundCloud.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We got a Gab Bandcamp. Not that we're making money anyway from that.
Gab's Bandcamp. And I know that National kind of threw around the idea of like doing an album of like our greatest hits of songs and stuff to potentially be an IGP, income generating product. On that note, I am going to pull up Lori Pinor, our finance officer's notes. So what we've been doing as GAB-LA Seattle, our main sources of income, as I'm sure is true for GAB-LA, is our members' dues. This year, we've incentivized paying dues for the year up front by, I'm not wearing it, not this hoodie, but a really sweet purple hoodie that says GAB-LA Seattle, and a little beanie that also says GAB-LA Seattle, where you just like, hey, if you pay your dues, the minimum, because if you paid your dues at $5 a month times 12, that's $60. So if you did $60, you got a sweet beanie that I'm totally not modeling now. And if you paid, I think, what is it, the next tier up, so 120. You would get the sweet hoodie as well. Or hoodies were sold for $20 separately, which was totally cool. We typically do have a number of shirts and swag, like tubaos and like little tote bags with the Diwang Pinay, which I think was a cultural show that happened. We had them for sale, but usually things like that sell to membership and isn't a large moneymaker. However, it is really cool to pull out when organizations ask us to table at events. We've also been hit up to be food vendors, and I know that some of our kasamas just did a report back this weekend, and some of our Gabbies went and sold adobo and rice, and I don't know the total, but they made money, and it was awesome. Yeah, so that's one way to do it. Cultural shows have always been a hit, according to Lori Pinor. GAB/Pinay sa Seattle has put on a number of cultural shows, and it meets a number of objectives in terms of promoting our work. So yeah, that's one way. We've also done applying to local grants. So the biggest breakthrough that we shared when we were at DC was we were able to hire our part-time organizer, who is Shelton Dana. And we did that by applying to an organization called the Social Justice Fund, who specializes in having these giving projects that aim to look for grassroots organizations and small nonprofits that don't necessarily have access to traditional funding, that might like have restraints and restrictions based on 501c3 status, and they fund them without any sort of like strings attached. So essentially, Social Justice Fund is like, hey, you're doing awesome work. Here's more money to continue doing what you do. And GAB was awarded, I believe, a $10,000 grant through the Gender Justice Giving Project because our work highlights the struggle of Filipino migrant workers, both here and in the Philippines. And that was a huge success. It was really great that we got the money, and we used that big grant as a way to do our Kickstart fundraiser. It wasn't Kickstarter, sorry. It just kind of jump-started a fundraising effort that happened all throughout the course of October and continued into December. We revamped our website as part of our rebrand from Pinay sa Seattle to GAB-LA Seattle, and used that to feature people who were part of our membership currently and members who are no longer active but still contribute to the work in some capacity. And we were able to feature one member per day. And we kind of tried to set a goal of raising, I think it was $333 per member. I don't think we made that much, but we still managed to get about $8,000 to match our initial $10,000 from Social Justice Fund by the end of the year, which was pretty big.
That 8,000 number that you're talking about in terms of fundraising, that was per member? Those were contributions per member? They didn't reach the 350, but collectively reached 8,000?
Yeah, collectively we reached, sorry, I didn't clarify, yeah. So we did the featured member fundraiser where we would like have a story and then people could click the donation, and then we did our personal appeals to our networks. And then we had our Bonga anniversary event because GAB-LA Seattle was turning 8 years old, I think. And we had like this big Bonga event where it was kind of like mini prom, and we did a few songs, and we performed and just invited all our family members and our friends out and their networks out. And donations were about $20 a ticket, and we also we served food there. It was really, really good. And it was just really family-friendly space where people could kind of check out the work that we were doing, have a good time, and also help give us money. We did a pass the hat at that event as well, on top of having the tickets be $20, and I think that's kind of what pushed us overall.
Yeah.
Ongoingly kind of reminding people, hey, you can always donate to us. One other, I'm sorry if I'm overloading with information, it's just as I'm thinking about it, I'm saying it. Is this pace going okay for you guys?
Yeah, it's fine.
Cool. One thing we do try to do as well is kind of prop the idea of long-time sustaining donations. So like a friend kind of doing a monthly gift of like $5 a month or $10 a month, as opposed to like a one-time donation of like $50, because then that can sustain the work over a long course. And then when we get donations like that, GAB-LA, I think, was she's our sec gen, and she also was kind of handling the media component of our fundraising effort. And she would kind of, like do a shout out over Facebook or Instagram saying like, hey, thanks to this person for being like a sustaining member. Thank you to like this person for giving us, for helping the movement. Just kind of personalizing and kind of affirming that we recognize the help that people are giving to us financially. So yeah.
From the Bonga anniversary event, how much were you all able to fundraise?
I wish I had the numbers in front of me. I don't. That information is with, I think, Claudia Perez, and I haven't been able to finagle that information. But one thing to note for our part 2, that'll be way smoother than this, is I can have spreadsheets sent out, and I can do a screen share of spreadsheets, so that way we can like kind of do a breakdown. I have to also ask if that's okay with our committee to do, kind of like put it out in public. Look at our finances. But I mean, we're not funding terrorism, so I'm pretty sure we have nothing to hide. So you've got NSA and YouTube, nothing to hide. So yeah. Do you guys have any experience, or are you comfortable with the idea of doing personal appeals for fundraising?
I think so. It's oh, you. So I think that for us, right, we've actually usually done event-based fundraising, right? So like whether it's like typhoon relief or some sort of fundraising concert, we actually have more experience in that. But this year, we're trying to make those kind of like direct asks, those personal appeals, more of a priority as well, because we see the significance of it. We see like the organizing opportunities of it, and then also like we've actually underutilized personal appeals, as a way to really expand our reach and really talk to our community about why sustaining the movement monetarily or financially actually matters. It builds our capacity. So yeah, that's really what I've seen. I don't know, Teresa, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. I think people are, what you said, underutilized. But I think having maybe, I don't know, do you all have more of a structured way in how you do it? Like, do you have, like how you were saying, members pay and there are tiers. Do you also have that with your supporters? Is there more to a structure in reaching out to your personal contacts and asking them to donate however much a month? Or is it just kind of whatever they can give and in whatever form, as long as it's in a sustained way?
It's definitely more the latter, as I understand it, than like, hey, you can pay at this level and be considered like a friend, or this level and be considered hardcore kasama, or however, that is starting to be a very like tantalizing idea to do. I think so. In regards to having a tiered system, it was easier to ask our membership because we were already giving dues. The only switch was how soon we were able to give it. And I feel like people, like, personally for me, I know when I ask my friends or my network for money, like, all my personal stuff about, like, oh, but I know that they're a student and can't have, like, you know, the capacity to pay me a ton of money right now, or, I know that they just moved or had a baby, why would I be a strain on them? So I get all my stuff about, like, I shouldn't bother people for money. But what's really great is, again, Social Justice Fund, I totally talk about them a lot, but Precious, our chair, she was part of the Gender Justice Giving Project, which is how we came to find out about the grant. But she totally wasn't part of like the decision making around us getting the grant. She had to step out of the room for that portion. Transparency. But her experience with being part of the Giving Project gave her some training and tools about how to reframe and do asks, which addresses like the stuff that comes up and the anxiety around asking. And she kind of taught me how to do a mini training, and we then turned that into a mini workshop that we gave at ALT, called Money and the Movement. And the basic tenet was kind of reframing how we think about what it means to donate. Rather than saying like, oh, you're going to be asking for money, think about what it feels like to give. And, you know, when it's freely done and you're doing it because you're aligned with the values. And to think about like the ways you would, if you're coming from a place that really believes in what you're doing and like says, hey, this is what we need, can you meet that? It goes over way better than like this really nervous, too much talking because you're anxious approach. But it's really hard to kind of slow down. Yeah, I was hoping if we had more people to kind of do like a role play and a practice. I don't know how that would work right now. Well, because like, you know, you're supposed to like, oh, pair off, but we're all seeing each other. So it'd be like one of us going in front of the, you know, audience and going, hi. So yeah, reframing about what it means to give, and also when we were doing our personal appeals via email, Precious and Shell, who is also really experienced with doing fundraising because she's just had a lot of people in her life who've done that. They both wrote sample emails like that detail like why they're asking for the money. And it kind of included things like, oh, I've been part of this group, here's my personal connection to the work, here's what we've been able to do with the funds in the past, and here's what we're hoping to do with the funds that we're getting, hopefully from our friends who want to support us. So those like the four main components of the letter. When I've been in several fundraising trainings just over the course of working that emphasize when you're building relationships with potential donors, you let them know that you're going to ask for money, or at least you let them know that you're going to talk to them about the fact that you're doing fundraising, which kind of like turns them onto the idea that to expect you to make an ask, and then to ask for an amount. And, you know, which is the hardest part for me because I feel like, oh, asking for $100 seems really demanding. But if you ask for a specific amount, then people can like let you know if they can work with that or not. And then that segues into the part of the conversation where, hey, I'm asking for 100. If you're like, oh, I can't do that right now, then you can be like, hey, you know what, that's cool. You can give me like $5 a month or $2 a month until you meet that goal. Any little bit helps. So it takes the pressure off of like giving this huge amount and like being made of money, and it shows the willingness to kind of work and build that relationship. That's the way to approach it. I've been also, I've encountered this one technique where you talk about GAB in your org like you just met like this really banging hottie that you're really excited to go on a date with. Like you just gush and like say all the great things and why it's so important to support the work. For me, I think I will gush anyway about Gabriella. But I mean, you don't just gush and say nice things. I think it's very important to tailor it to the person you're talking to. Like if you know the person really cares about artists or like art, just be like, hey, you know, we do a lot of prop making with our, you know, our campaigns. Like, do you see all that awesome signage on the street when we're marching for International Working Women's Day? Yeah, we need money to buy paint and stuff. That's one way to do it. Not the best way, admittedly, but it is a way. Yeah, is this helpful?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool. Yeah, so we've also been thinking of IGPs, like different things to sell at different times. Because a lot of our IGPs come straight from Philippines, or we make them based on events. It's not like we have them ongoingly. Like we're just peddling our goods. They're very much whenever we have events to table, or when people ask us to be somewhere and we table. I would love to see us like do a calendar, like a GAB calendar, showcasing like all our cool swag, or like have a GAB catalog, like GAB-LA. We like I don't know.
That's some next level stuff right there.
Yeah, right, a GAB-LA, get on it.
Gab.
Teresa's all about it. She's gonna say yeah.
Awesome.
The
I'm
name
glad.
alone is a seller.
Nice.
You never know. Yeah, I definitely thrive in ways where we can like throw ideas out about how to generate money, not so much the actual going and getting the money. But I'll try. I will do anything in regards to supporting our work on a monetary basis.
Can I ask for you, Lori?
Yeah.
What do you feel, even just personally, what do you feel has been like the most effective method? Like, has it been the personal ask? Has it been investing in events? Has it been, you know what I mean? So like from your own personal experience, what have you found like the most useful or the most practical? Like,
That's tough. Because I definitely hear you on events are the best, like are the ways we, not best, but like the way we rely on to generate income a lot. Honestly, I think it's the personal relationship. Because what I've seen is, especially when we did our membership, featured member of the day thing, we didn't mean to we're not making it a competition, but we do see based on the day who gave. And oftentimes we know the relationship of the person giving to which member. So like Claudia Paras, who is one of the people who like got me to join GAB in the first place, she runs deep into community and she has like really supportive of friends and family, and she's really good at just asking and kind of tapping in and like checking in with people, and she's really likable. So it's kind of actually it's hard for me personally to say no to Claudia. So she uses that superpower and then applies it to other people.
nice.
Claudia, if you're watching, I love you. And that is not by any means trying to paint you as manipulative at all. And one of our newer members, actually, Nilda May Factor. Shout out Nilda May. She's from the Bay Area originally. She's now in Seattle. And she joined us, I think, September. So she was only a month in when we started doing our fundraising. But she was like one of our top fundraisers for that event because she just hit up her homies from the Bay and just hit up people that she knew in Seattle. So it's definitely having the courage to go to your personal networks and just having that relationship to be able to say, hey, this is something I'm doing, here's the work we're doing, if you're interested, please check it out. Even better, donate. For me, it's been really helpful. I have, interestingly, better luck getting money from strangers than I do with my friends and family, because I'm still working on my own, like, I don't want to bother them. And it's just easier to bother strangers for me.
Like, I ain't gonna see you again.
Give me your money. No. Well, yeah, because by strangers, I mean people I meet who may not be directly related to anti-imperialist work, but I meet in like an environmental capacity, or I'm doing queer advocacy work. And people are just like, hey, what do you do? And then I go, like, oh, I have my economic job, but the job I really like is GAB-LA Seattle. And I've met people who are really interested in human trafficking, ending it, not perpetuating it. Clarification.
Thank God.
Yeah. And they're just like, oh, here's what I'm doing. I'm with the Polaris Project. Oh, I went to Olympia to kind of support a bill. And I go, yeah, well, my org actually, we're part of a national affiliation, and one of our chapters is made up of primarily of traffic teachers from the Philippines. And they're just like, whoa, what? And I kind of go from there. I don't go too ND on them saying, like, it's the three root problems of the Philippines. But I do say we're really committed to like bringing justice for these Filipino workers and bringing the trafficker to justice who was living here in the U.S. And I mentioned things like, oh, we were in D.C. and we mobilized on the Philippine embassy, just kind of showing that we really are active in doing things, because a lot of organizing work isn't that sexy, and it's very much background work. So highlighting things that are visible. And also kind of saying, yeah, but we need ongoing support because, even things like getting a meeting space to be able to just gather and talk and meet regularly to talk about next steps can cost money. Even things like traveling from point A to point B. A lot of our members don't live near each other. This is specific to GAB Seattle. Like, we're growing and we're all over. So sometimes it's not convenient or conducive for all of us to meet in one place, because between work schedules, family lives, and location, it's super difficult. So travel's a thing. And we have an organizer, which is important because we grew our membership a lot and we're trying to figure out how to navigate that growth. And it's really important to have someone who's constantly on the work, because we are a grassroots organization. Just ways to frame it like that. Excuse me, I am super rude. And wait, is this Karen? It is. She is not going to come to the Google Hangout, so it's totally going to be the three of us. Well, 2 when Nicole comes, and then 3 again when Presh enters. Yes. Are there any other questions that I can help in my very limited way with? Or what has worked for you? If you've tried doing personal asks, or if you tried raising money with a lemonade stand, or a Halo stand. Ooh, there you go. Summer's coming.
Don't really have much experience with fundraising specifically with GAB, but coming from Anak Bayan, I think we've tried all the things that we've talked about with the events, with the IGPs, all that stuff. And actually, the events are really cool for like getting a lot of contacts, getting the word out about whatever campaign, but those have not really raised as much money as I feel like the time we put into them. So I'm trying to think, like, what is most successful? It's almost like I think with AB, one of the turning points with the fundraising there was actually trying to appeal to members about how important dues were, and how it was important for people to actually pay them on time. And like what you already had mentioned, they started implementing these programs to like get people to pay early, get people to pay on time, get people to pay, period. And I think people value that a little bit more. And so even asking, if you can give more to do so. So yeah, I mean, that's how I think for AB, it's been able to have a consistent amount of funds to just use. And the bonus is, of course, like having all those different events and the IGPs and being really consistent with them. But yeah, I haven't had too much experience with really mobilizing people to go out and ask, right? Personal contacts, and in a way that's like systematic and for the organization, not just for this event that's happening in a week or in a month, which is kind of what we've done in different ways, asking for sponsorship, right? But I think the approach that you've shared is really to show how the movement and the organizations need to be sustained with sustained funding So I think that's one exciting kind of idea to try to move forward with.
Yeah. I definitely hear you on just getting people to pay, period. But that's why FUBU, for you, by you, is a really great idea to just kind of push. Um, can I ask how AB did collect dues? Was it very consistent? Was it just like as you went? What was the protocol to like get the dues to the org?
Due to the org, usually at meetings, there's always like a time to collect at meetings. For some time when they had Square Card became a thing, like that made it easier for people to actually pay and not have excuses for it. So, and then in committees, like people were on it in their committees to get people to pay. So it was like this all around, push to help, right, by fulfilling your responsibility with dues.
Oh, cool. GAB Seattle, we do a pass the envelope at every general meeting. Our EC has been really good about sending emails like, hey, bring your dues. And then the actual envelope, you're supposed to write your name and how much you put in just to help kind of keep track, which like I think is pretty effective because then I'm like, oh, it's going to be noticeable that my name's not on there. Which, I mean, it's a hit and miss thing, right? Like, it's great for kind of using pressure. And we don't want to shame people for not being able to give if they're not able to. But it's also a good, like, hey, even $1 helps. There have been times where I put, like, 50 cents and I totally own that. Like, that was my dues.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah, and again, it's difficult to just, because we are part of a capitalistic system that does value our production over our whole selves. But that's, like, I think you can use that. We don't want our membership to feel like they're just a body there just to, like, give us money when we ask for it. There are different ways to give to the org. And which brings me to another kind of thing. So this is not GAB specific related, but it's something that I've just picked up. Sponsorships, not just big chunks of money given at you, but things like in-kind donations are huge. Because you can auction items that people have donated at zero cost to them and zero cost to you and make a profit off of that. An example is, so this was from Got Green, the Green-a-thon. One of our members is an executive director, and their fundraiser is to kind of raise money and like have teams go out and compete against each other, incentivized by prizes, which are in-kind donations. And one of the prizes is, so Kabug is a kasama here in Seattle. He does tattoos, and we got him to agree to like donate a free tattoo for someone if they raise that money. And you can bet your ass people were like, hell yeah, I want a tattoo, and got all up on it. Now they're raising money. I don't know the specific amount, but the Green-a-thon's happening this Saturday, so I could keep you updated next week about how well that went.
Cool.
Yeah. And that also, pardon? Yeah, it's also a good way, especially if you have artists who are trying to sell their work. I mean, you can obviously pay them if they're like really trying to sell their work, but if they can spare it and like can just give them some, give you some of their work, it's a great way to prop like local kasamas who are artists. Just kind of be like, hey, this great thing that our kasama is doing. Let's totally support them, and bonus points are supporting GAB too. It's all about the framing, mostly.
Can I ask, so like how often, I guess like how would you track the donations, right? Because you guys had a specific period of time that you were collecting, or like you had the goal, and then I imagine that you had like a deadline for when you wanted to reach the goal. So like A, like how would you track it, and then the B, like building momentum and keeping folks inspired to actually do it. I think that's the thing too, because whenever I've been trying to get people to like overcome the fear of making personal appeals, but I think the impression that I'm getting is that people haven't internalized that obstacle just yet. Like I think they still want to do events, which I'm okay with too, but going back to what Teresa was saying, oftentimes it's just not as much as it would be. It's not as successful in terms of like the time and energy that you put into the events if people just kind of reached out to their networks, and kind of broadened that reach. And so that is what I've recognized as kind of a struggle, is like getting people to overcome that fear or that that notion, right, about making personal asks, but then also tracking it so it's still like building momentum. You know what I mean? Like, because if you don't track it, then nobody knows it's going down. Like,
Yeah, no, that's real.
Far from the finish line, we're just like running on empty. Like,
Good now.
No, tracking is huge and really, really good. I do not know the specifics of how we personally did it. I do know, however, that when we were doing leading up to the Bonga and after the Bonga event, Shell and Claudia were really good about emailing us saying, hey, y'all, we just got a $250 donation just today, and now we're at this total. And I think having that really present and ongoing kind of motivated me personally to be like, oh, we're so close, we're so close. Let me see if I can get $3 from like 10 people today, you know? And just kind of, and I think it's really good to celebrate the little wins. So if you, even if you set the bar pretty low, like, hey, collect $5 from 2 people, you know? At least, and just be like, oh, did you surpass your goal? And just celebrate that, like, holy crap, look what you did with 3 people just for today. Could you imagine if you just did this ongoingly and people knew that? You know, because $10 today, if they kept giving every month, that's easily 120 more that you have at the end of the year.
yeah.
Yeah. This, and oh, and tracking at the door events. So I know that sometimes when people pay with cash, you know, you don't know who gave what, and you don't necessarily want to know who, or you don't need to keep the, oh, this person gave us 15 at the door, this person gave us 10 at the door. But it's really useful to have your laptop set up with Google Sheets and have columns that are depicting, like, so if you're doing a sliding scale donation, have one column for $5, have one for 10, have one for 20, and then a column for any IGP sales. And as people are handing you the cash, just kind of type in, oh, I just got $5. Oh, I just got 10, to keep an ongoing total. And it's a really great way to kind of balance the cash box at the end of the night without having to physically count and remember, oh, how many did we start with? Yeah. And like I said, names on envelopes, it's kind of shamey, and I own that, and it's pretty effective. Or, you know, you could do some, like, we call it snacks ng puso, where our membership writes each other love notes. You could just do, like, you know, little notes of appreciation of, like, hey, you get this really awesome button because you are awesome and remembered your dues. Of course, you've got to find, like, really, really cheap buttons so you're not, like, going broke making the buttons of appreciation. You can also print out certificates. Ooh, I love certificates. You can, like, Photoshop really awkward pictures of the person and, like, make it an endearing thing and act like you, like, worked super hard and be like, don't you love it?
Nice.
That's fun. Oh, someone's here, I think. Precious Bushu. Hold on 1 second. I have a lot of things happening.
It's a great sound.
I know. Oh, here.
It's like a wizard is entering.
Yes.
He's entering.
A
Hey,
secret
Precious.
wizard named Precious is entering. Precious wizard,
Are you
you may enter.
Precious?
Oh man.
She's not on here, is she?
I don't
Hold
think
on. Hold on. I can fix this. I have magical Google skills.
I'm just now noticing this toolbar with all these things I don't know what they do.
See? Where is the toolbar? I'm not crazy. Anyway, I've sent her an invitation. She's trying to get in right now. Okay. The invite has been posted. She will enter. And you guys getting the invites worked out fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, after you sent me the link.
Just a few clicks.
Teresa, I know you have to get going soon, but was there anything else in terms of your curiosity or questions?
Not really. I think that was very, very helpful for now, and probably have more questions later. But then the good thing is there's another part, right?
Yes. Cool. And to that note, if you whatever questions you have, please come at me. I hope now you do have my email, and Nicole, you have my number. You should both have my number because I was like, text me if there are issues.
Oh, okay. Yes.
But yeah, like I think it'll be great to kind of plan the next session around what we wanted to cover, what was helpful, and I'm sorry, I'm still trying to figure out where Precious is. But do you guys want to kind of do a mini assessment before you leave about like what went well, what can be worked on, and it's totally cool if that part has a lot, and what you want to see next session, so that way we can make it tighter.
Yeah. I think on my end, I mean, it's overall positive. I know you're concerned about like technical difficulties, that sort of thing, but I appreciate the agenda. I'm always about the pop, so we're about that life. And yeah, I mean, I think in general, I did like how the conversation kind of built off each other, right? So like relying on what we're actively doing right now, what we've been able to utilize in the past, and then also where are the gaps in our fundraising. And so I think your personal stories in terms of what has worked for you, for the organization, for other members, is, yeah, it's actually really enlightening. And I think also serves as a good reminder that the heart of fundraising also is organizing. Like, I think that's what I got. You know, hi! The wizard is here. Hi, Fresha. How are you?
You attempting to contact me made all the bells and whistles happen. So people are like, the wizard's coming!
I can't see anyone, but I hear your voices.
Oh no, we see you, or I see you.
So I think Teresa and Nicole had to go soon, so we're trying to do like a quick assessment about this session. This one was just kind of pretty informative and groundwork laying. I'm definitely going to do a second one for the membership again, which will be better informed about like what to cover, what went well out of this session, and kind of more skills like actual workshopping instead of like anecdotal stories. Sound good?
Yeah, I mean, I think the anecdotes still help, though. You know what I mean? I don't think, yeah, I still think they're helpful because I think it's based on what concrete experiences that you have, right? And like what you all are experiencing. I do actually, I know as funny as it may sound, I do actually like the idea of the role play.
Yeah?
Because I think it'll help people kind of overcome what does that ask actually look like. You know what I mean? Or like, what does it feel like? And when, I don't know, the more that you do it, the easier it becomes. Like, it's just like organizing, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think what we'll do also on our end is invite more of the members, because I think we tended to focus on the organizational development folks, so the OD folks from our committee, but I think if you are going to do a second session, we should really welcome the entire membership to participate in that right now. And so we have a couple of new members as well. So, but I think it's probably going to be more of our older members that would want to participate in it because the newer ones are still getting their orientation and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be a little overwhelming to already talk about fundraising right away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's on my end. I don't know, Teresa, if you had any assessment points?
I mean, very similar to what you said, just really positive. I really like the concrete examples that you gave. From the envelope, very small details like the envelope, how you pass around in meetings, to like the big examples of the grant work that you all have done as well. I think that's really helpful. And you gave us really like a scope of the work. So I thought, you know, all the examples that you gave were really, really good. And I like that we were able to share. I think it was also reflective for us, for me, you know, to think back like, oh, what has worked? What have I done before? What could we be doing in the future? So I appreciated that kind of dialogue. I guess the only other thing would be what Nicole said, is just to get more people to hop on and hear their ideas too, and be able to continue the dialogue in the next sessions.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. I love, Nicole, your point about the heart of fundraising is organizing. I think using that point will help people get over like some anxiety. I think another good way to frame it also is like, yes, the more you do something, it can get easier, but I think I prefer to think of it as it just gets more familiar. I think I have a huge fear of the unknown, and when I know what to expect and like what happens in my body when I'm in that position, it's much more easier to anticipate and kind of like, okay, this is where I'm at with it. Ooh, you know, maybe like in addition to role plays that we could do like an instructional video, right? I could figure out how to get really cool editing to get words on the screen, and then we could do really cheesy like expressions with it. That's just, it's one option.
Nice.
So yeah, would you guys like to recap for Presh what we talked about? I know we kind of did that, but I feel like I've been doing the majority of the
Sorry,
talking.
just one more assessment point to add. I think it may be helpful, even for you all, if since you were able to facilitate today, is even sending out like the questions to think about in advance.
Yeah.
That may be helpful, whether it's through just a quick email of the questions that you want us to already be thinking about, or because I appreciate that you sent them, so we kind of had a scope of what to talk about, but it may be good to send to the second round of folks that are gonna be coming through so that they come prepared with those examples or key questions that they might have in mind. Yeah. Things that they're most curious about, I guess. Yeah.
Cool. Would it be a good idea to run a second doodle? I don't know that the 27th still works for the same people here.
Oh, okay.
So I can send out like a packaged email that has kind of like mini notes, the link to this recording, questions to think about for next time, and a doodle link. Does that sound good?
Yeah, because the thing with doodles, right, especially when they're like a big group of folks, is that doodles only last so long, right? They have like a 48-hour accuracy, like, lifespan.
Not so scientific, but yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, not that that came from a scientific place with this. Well, kind of from my own experience of having to deal with like coalition building and doing doodles. They really only last for 2 days. Like, and after that, you're double booked on someone's.
True.
You should really give people like a deadline, like, hey, please respond by this time, because we really need to lock down a date. Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. Okay, that sounds good.
Sorry, I do have to go now. But thank you so much, and I'm sure we will talk soon. Hi and bye, Precious. Thank you, Laurie. Bye, Nicole.
Bye. Cool.
Would you consider it helpful if I made a Google Doc of next time's agenda so people can like add and kind of take away and see where people are at too? Because the thing I like about Google Docs is it's kind of a living document.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. And then everyone who's on it can basically be shared on it.
Yeah.
So we can be taking kind of like the same notes and referring to the same agenda. Yeah.
Cool. I will definitely keep that for next time. Oh, so you know how I talked about the giving project and the exercise about like what it feels like to give? You could totally ask from the source. Precious is here.
We have the source. The source is here. Yeah. I think I remember. I mean, the first time I heard about the grant that you all got was when we were all in DC together, right? And so you all talked a little bit about that, which is pretty awesome. Pretty cool that there is actually like someone that's funding basically grassroots work instead of just only nonprofits. So I forgot already what my question was in regards to that. But I think actually more of it related to that 8,000, the matching. I remember when you guys were trying to match that grant, right? So you all had the 8,000, and then I think before you came on, Precious, what I was asking Lori was that 8,000 mostly from personal appeals, or was it mostly from events? You know what I mean? Like, that 8,000 is a pretty large number, so I'm wondering, like, what made the biggest chunk of it?
Precious?
I know. I see her moving. I don't go beyond that. Precious!
I wonder if we can... Aha! There is a chat. Precious, can you hear us? No. Oh, wait, question mark. There you go.
Oh, there she is.
Okay. Did you hear the question, Presh?
I think she's on mute, though.
Oh.
You might be on mute. I see, like, a little mic with, like... There you go. Okay. Your mouth's moving, but there's still no sound.
Yeah. Technical difficulties, for real. Uh-oh. See what I mean about technical difficulties?
It might be that she's on her headset.
Oh, yeah.
She's on a headset. Maybe she has to be off of the headset. I don't know.
Maybe. Can you read lips? Trying to
Sorry, I can't hear you, Precious. I know you're. It's like she's trying to speak to me. I know it.
But her face is so expressive.
It is very expressive. Like I feel it. I feel the struggle that she's trying. She's trying.
Maybe I can. Okay. So apparently, I have the power to be able to. Okay, I can turn her up if we can't hear her.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I'm trying. Has that helped? Nope. That muted her. Okay, let me try it again. Okay. Damn it. Okay. Yeah.
We're not going.
I don't know. Precious, if it's possible for you to type, we have like a side group chat thing, and I can read off whatever you typed if to accommodate you. Oh, Nicole, time check. It's 7:05. Are you okay to stay, or do you need to go?
I actually might need to go. But it's okay. I mean, we can also save. Is she able to come to the next one? If not, then it's totally cool.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah. So until next time, it was really wonderful seeing you again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lori. I appreciate it. Yeah, and you really, yeah, you really gave some great examples, and I think what we'll do is, yeah, reach out to the GAB-LA folks, make sure that they can jump on the call too.
Awesome, and I will do the follow-up work, and it'll be great. And yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Ingat.
Bye.